So I want to talk a little bit more about my personal and professional experiences with the rose meditation and how this really serves and benefits me in my own energetic authority and my own empowerment, and also how it serves any situation I'm in where there's an energetic exchange, which can be with my clients, can be in relationships. So the rose meditation as a tool, when I first discovered it in 2014, I was living in New York City. I was working at the New York Times. I was taking the subway into Times Square every day, an hour back and forth. And there was just a lot of energy coming at me from all directions. And this was when my gifts started, I started to open up again. My awakening was really accelerating. And so I didn't have a lot of tools or foundation for how to work with any of this energy that just felt like it was pummeling me all the time, everywhere I went. And so I was feeling really overwhelmed. I was feeling like I couldn't sense what was me, what was mine. I was in this kind of constant state of overwhelm and anxiety, and also in a very deadline driven environment, for my career. And so it just kind of created this energetic intensity for me. And when I found the rose meditation and began studying with Amelia and Piracanga, the community in Brazil, I actually didn't know really what it was about. I was just magnetized to it. And there was also something about the rose. The rose is part of my lineage, and it's always been kind of a symbolic guide for me. So it just caught my attention, and I didn't even really know what this retreat was that I was going to, but I just knew I needed to be there. And so I was in a lot of resistance, as Amelia will share about my, earlier in my journey. I was very, my intellectual energy was very strong, was very much in my mind. I was really just emotionally and energetically overwhelmed. And so as I began to work with this rose meditation over the week-long retreat that we did, it was like night and day for me, because I was still, in New York, still traveling from, where we were holding the retreat back to, back home every night for this week. And just noticing, even just after a couple days of practicing it, how different my energy felt in these interactions was really fascinating. And then when I went back to work, when I went back to the Times and had this tool in place and was doing the meditation every morning and every evening, it was like my whole perspective and reality was shifting, because slowly, as I was cleansing and letting some of this go and reconnecting and, working the muscle of creating those energetic boundaries, and, just so much energy to release over so many decades and lifetimes, because I didn't have a tool where I could really actively and consciously work with my own field. And because I was so open and didn't have any tools for that, it was a very unconscious kind of dynamic I was in with my energy and my emotions and my projections and my reactions. So all of those things transformed for me as I began to work with this as a practice, first learning the tool and then really bringing it into my day-to-day, really becoming disciplined with not only doing it as a meditation. I would do it on the subway, I would do it walking down the street, I would do it in conversations, I would do it sitting at my desk. Really is an active meditation that becomes, like it's a muscle you're working as you really come into more of these practices and this energetic hygiene. So for me personally, it allowed me to become more clear within myself, release a lot of that anxiety and overwhelm and pressure that I was experiencing inside myself and outside of myself. And as that, as I began to work with the rose meditation, to learn the intuitive reading, the aura reading technique that I also learned with Amelia, I began to work with other energy healing modalities. I began to work with clients. I began to really expand my deeper purpose and my deeper work over the last, however many years it's been now, 7 years. And so professionally, it laid the foundation for me to really become more advanced in my own energetics and in the tools that I worked with in order to facilitate, other people, holding space for other people, for them to heal themselves, and now having many tools now. This was one of my first. The rose meditation was literally my first real energetic tool. Now I've got a whole wealth of tools, and that was really part of me building that foundation, was learning this rose meditation. And now I can really be with, now that I'm in this energetic authority with myself, I can hold that center in myself, no matter what's moving within me, no matter what's moving outside of me. I can hold that center and be with that energy. I can work with it, I can transmute it, I can see it, I can integrate it. Whatever that energy needs, I have the tools. And so the rose meditation was really what began that process for me of building that foundation that I've come into now in my energetic authority with myself and in any and all exchanges that I'm in, whether that's personally or professionally.